Hello. So today we are talking to Emily the Diamond, all the way from Australia. And she is a world-renowned speaker, educator, transformational catalyst for people looking at mindset and belief change. She focuses today on everything that holds us back, what we need to be aware of when we're looking at our beliefs, and for scaling founders, that's super important.
And this episode is for anyone who is on a scaling journey and a growth journey, if you like, in business, and you're a female founder. We are committed to 1,000 of you reaching 7 figures in the next 3 years, and we are determined to bring to this podcast everything we can that will support you in your journey. So if you enjoy this, if you find it of value, please like, subscribe, share. Instant belief change. Emily, what led you to create that program? I'm fascinated to know more about it. Why instant belief change?
I'm a easily frustrated person who's very intense and like things to be done quickly and straight away. All of that learning I did in neuro repatterning, subconscious transformative work, and conventional psychology was wonderful. But I still couldn't then, even as the most advanced trained practitioner, could not go home and do a belief change on myself in quicker than 20 minutes. And when you know about belief changes, they sit on the border between deep subconscious and conscious. So you're aware of your beliefs all the time. They're sort of just under the surface of the water. So you can see them and you can interact with them. And that really annoyed me, that I could see them, I could interact with them, I could see how my beliefs were affecting my behaviour. Why would it take me more than 20 minutes to just do a process on something that's actually quite light in my level? So my demand of my brain was, surely there's a better way to do this. Surely there's a better way to do this. Hasn't somebody figured something out yet? And it was this frustration conversation that took ruminated in my brain for years. And then one day I was leading a workshop where I teach all the other processes and facilitate all the other techniques, the long techniques. And it just popped into my head, the idea of use this other neuro repatterning technique that's very quick, but instead apply it to beliefs. And I was thrilled and excited. And then, of course, became instantly suspicious, going, surely someone else has thought of this. Like that. And then hunted, couldn't find anyone else who had done it. I'm also a big fan of the scientific method, always loved biology and chemistry and did a lot of that study and started out doing nursing at uni. So I was thinking of being a vet or a physio or a doctor. I love science. And also thought if I could fuse in one of the protocols where you test your nervous system, you can test for beliefs. And those two separate ideas that had been floating around, not knowing that they would end up being connected in my mind, ended up being connected. So I had the idea of how to do the technique of changing a belief. And then as I worked on that process, I thought, oh, why don't we couple that with nervous system testing? So when people bother to change a belief, even though it only takes 2 minutes, that's still 2 minutes of your life. You could be wasting your time. Why not test if the belief is actually coded in your nervous system? Then you validate, yes, okay, well, now it's worth changing on this. And then once you've done the technique as well, you can instantly test again and know if it's worked. So this fusion of my frustration and wanting to be able to be more independent, if I identify a belief, I don't want to have to wait a week and a half to go and talk to my coach. I want to change it today. So that crazy kind of persistent, frustrated, fast, now, and also really wanting to be personally empowered, combined with this scientific approach, they fuse together, and that's what's IBC today.
So can you give me an example of the kind of beliefs that people can change with this technique? I mean, firstly, I think 20 minutes is quite quick. So, but you're saying, no, too slow. Actually, but what kind of beliefs are we talking about here? Can you give me an example?
So we've got beliefs and we've got belief systems. And belief systems are made up of sort of groups of beliefs that reinforce one another. And sometimes it's very much like a Jenga. You've got your foundational beliefs and all the subsequent beliefs that are conditional and rely on those other beliefs. But they're very much like a network with each other, and like a big tangle of wool. And the kind of beliefs you can change are things like, I'm a good person. Exercise matters to me. I deserve love. People treat me well. I can earn X number of dollars per year. It's safe for me to have money. I can forgive people. I'm capable of forgiving myself. There's any situation, you've got belief systems. Belief systems are woven through everything that we do in terms of our behavior, our thoughts and our feelings. And if you follow the well-accepted Jungian theory of mind, it's that we have a concept of self. That concept of self means that we have a certain set of what's true and not true about the world. And beliefs, by their definition, are what do you think is true and what do you think is not true? So the question becomes, where do you not have beliefs? Beliefs are at play in that theory of mind where you have this concept that self, things are true and not true for you about yourself, others, life, and the world. We have all of these applications of true and not true inside of us that we've been collecting on the moment we arrived. Yep, that belongs as true. That belongs as not true. I talk about them like filing cabinets. So you're just storing things. Yep, that's true. I agree. Yes, that's right. Good. Try true. Right. Yes. And there's the other stuff of no, wrong, not true. We've got this very binary filter we're doing all the time. So it's a huge part of our neurology. And that set of filters that we're looking at the world through then determines our thoughts, that neuroelectrical activity gives us that cascade of then triggering all those different lovely amino acids and hormones and peptides that we call our feelings. And then our feelings determine how we behave. So where are they not? Is my lovely philosophical answer back to you.
Female founders are listening to this.
Yeah.
And they'll be sort of saying, why? This all sounds very interesting and very academic. Why should I be interested in this? But it was that phrase that you said, and I went, goodness me, what beliefs do I have about money? What beliefs do I have about what I'm capable of? I just find it fascinating that you've come up with this tool, and what you're saying is beliefs, behaviors, actions, reality in the world.
And they can work either way. They can go, here's my goals. Therefore, what belief systems do I require to give me aligned action towards those goals? That's going very much from root to fruit. Or you can go from fruit to root and say, I have a circumstance or a situation that I perceive as problematic or difficult or dissatisfying. What must I believe to be behaving in that way in order to get those results? So you can do that remedial focus of fix the problem, or you can go the other way, which is I've got these new goals and making sure you're best matched for those goals.
I love that. I love reverse engineering. I think any smart person that's looking for something, it really starts to go, okay, working backwards. And we talk about that in terms of marketing or timelines or planning. I've never thought about it in terms of beliefs. I'm going to think about that now. We might be phoning you up. Right, here's our goals, Emily. What do we need to change?
That's what people spend their time doing in IBC. They spend their time going, I'm fixing a problem, a persistent experience, a pattern, a concept of self that disempowers me, or I'm working on a goal list.
Listening to you and Aliya speak then, I was thinking about the stages a woman goes through. So if I spell that out, you might be, you'll be in a job, you'll be a professional, and you'll have ideas that are innovative. Entrepreneurs have ideas that they want to improve the world, improve the team. And sometimes if you're blessed, you're in an organization that can hold those ideas and your leadership of those ideas, and sometimes not. So you kind of start moving outside and maybe trialing something outside of yourself. So I'm thinking about a woman. I remember having an idea that I wanted to bring something to the world, but thinking, well, I don't know business. And then a few years later, you've been doing the thing. So you are in business then, like you're doing it. And then you've started the business. Is it profitable? Like you're moving through that minimum viable product stage. So I'm thinking about our listeners and at all the different stages. Can I be a business owner? Can I do it? Can I make money? Right through to, I'm actually doing it. And now I'm sorting out this product and figuring it out. All of the different beliefs and all those stages. And Emily, what I'd love to know is from the work that you've done with businesses and business women particularly, what are some of the things that you see women wrestling with? Like, because you mentioned about the beliefs are like under the surface. And I really do believe like business and it's such a journey for self-improvement and self-awareness. But like, what do you see them wrestling with?
For sure, normalizing what we're all experiencing is so important, because one of the endemic things that women experience in business is shame. And it's all to do with the patriarchal constructs that we know we're all liberating ourselves from, in terms of what makes us a good person. And then broken down for women, it's what makes us a woman and our function as women, and that function having a particular value assigned to it. And then that's a source of either pride and approval of shame and rejection. Mm-hmm. So shame, I would say, is the number one underlying thread, whether that's women in leadership. I've done corporate leadership development programs where it's particularly on executive coaching, executive psychology for some of the biggest organisations in Australia, as well as working with a lot of privately owned organisations, so successful business development. And that spectrum has shown me the universal thread of shame being not I've done something wrong, it's that I am wrong. And particularly with women, it's I'm wrongful and that act wrongful, wanting it to be different. I'm wrongful wanting people to listen to me. And the type of things that you were talking about, that we go through the motions, the one that was ringing out in my head speaking is, for a lot of women, it's the simple thing of who would trust me, who would believe me, because there's so much of was not being believed throughout our, experience and epigenetic carry. So shame, I would say, is the number one, and that's identity. So that's identity beliefs, and I classify beliefs in all different ways. And I'm not saying it's the right way to do it; it's the way I do it in each my programs. So identity beliefs are any belief that starts with the word I am. I am good. I'm successful. I'm worthy. I'm capable. I'm helpful. So this is all concept of self, and shame is that I am bad. So we talk about shame as a distorted concept of self or a disempowering identity belief, and that doesn't just get dealt with once as you go through your cycles, because you go through a cycle like, I just want to make a difference. I want to fix this problem. I want to help this kind of person. Suddenly you're doing that. Like you said, suddenly you're doing the do I get business and you're in business. And then it's, right, now I have to deal with the financial infrastructure, the legislation that affects my business. It's the people who have opinions about what I do. It's the people who that you don't understand or dismiss or minimize what I do. Yeah. Or they tell me straight up, I don't think you can be able to do that. Yeah. The world doesn't want you, or whatever the opinion that they have. Every level of evolution that we go through in this construct of business, and so many people talk about how business is like the ultimate environment for personal development, because the mirrors come up so fast about all the stuff that's shaky, snaky, grimy, slimy, anything we're feeling, it's very... And the I am bad, I've discovered, comes up at every level as like a core wound for women. So I am, so you'll be effective at one level, and then you go to the next level and you're like, this again, this shame thing has come up again, I'm bad again. What? I thought I dealt with that a while ago. And then there's that temporary spasm of anger of, that mustn't have worked when I did it back then. Well, yes, it did. It got you to this level. You've transformed it at that level, and now you're facing a new environment, a new landscape. That's going to throw a shadow. So shame, I am bad, number one. And then for a lot of women, there's a challenge because of maid martyrdom kind of vibes that everybody will know what I'm talking about, where we're conflicted between wanting to serve and help people, but also wanting more for ourselves and feeling like we have to stay humble and that somehow us having more means we're taking away from others, either taking away energy, attention, resources, opportunity, voice space, whatever it is. So those are the two, I'd give two, that I'm bad, and then the I'm bad for wanting more
Brilliant.
kind of
Yeah,
thing, and they
thank you.
reinforce each other.
If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you're interested in growing your business. And if so, we have a 6-week program where you will get the clarity that you need to come up with that strategic plan that you need to get to that next level.
Yeah, if you want straightforward, no fluff, like hands-on, real personal experience that's going to get you to the next level of your self-leadership and to land the next high-value client, come and find out more. Keep following the podcast, listening to what we're doing, and also come over to LinkedIn to find out the details.
Sometimes the shame can masquerade as a lack of confidence, I think. And I think a lot of women, that's why they spend so much time proving themselves, like over engineering their business or over delivering. You see that so often. And I wonder if that's hiding the, oh, I'm not good enough, so I'm going to give them, a 200-page workbook when, just to make sure I've got it covered, and exhausting themselves really with that over delivery. That was what was really getting me. And then the point you make about not wanting more, that you get to a point in your business where you start to be very profitable. I've never thought about it in terms of, if I have that, that means somebody else doesn't have it. I have it that there's an abundance of everything in the world, and it's the more abundantly you are, the more abundant you can be with everybody else. But I can see where a lot of us would go, can I be louder? Can I be powerful? I know sometimes when I'm being powerful about a message, I can feel if the other person isn't receiving it in a certain way, I can feel myself going, oh, I'm a bit powerful. Let me just turn myself down a notch,
Which is the same paradigm applied to a different environment, because your construct of abundance is not the majority's construct of abundance. So you've got a vantage point, you've got an advantage to go, oh, I actually see that. I'm already very good at that. My belief systems about that are very empowering and what we call generative, as in it opens up more and more opportunities constantly. There's the beliefs that give us more choices, and then the beliefs that really narrow everything down. And, if we're stuck with 1, 2, or 3 choices, maybe you're in a bind, you're in a limiting belief psychology, and you can do the copy paste. You say, what are those beliefs I have around financial businesses? And maybe I could take the over and apply them to being powerful and taking up space.
Can you give me a practical example of where you've seen somebody uncover something that's been hidden, like you've helped them see something and it's transformed something in their business, like maybe team, they just couldn't get a team together or whatever. We like to focus on financial targets. That's not always what women are interested in. I think when women say, I want more something, you've always got to dig into, well, what does that mean? It doesn't always mean more money. Might mean more relatedness with my team or whatever. What have you observed?
My last meeting for today, so I have the opportunity to do my IBC, which gets run in a group environment, but the majority of my time is spent working with individuals in their leadership position. So ended my meeting today, end of the day, and it's a department leader who was informed that there would be a more senior person coming to the business, essentially above her, when she had been the person who founded the department.
Yeah.
And that ruffled some feathers and brought up some stuff. And at the same time, the company approached me and said, we want to continue to invest in this person, even though this more senior person's coming in, because we want to make sure they know they're still valued, because this act could look like a significant act of being devalued. And we want to make sure that's not occurring, and investing in her development and support is a way of kind of trying to make peace and make sure that things are kept in perspective of how much they respect Lina and appreciate her. And 3 weeks ago even, I would just 6 weeks through her process. 3 weeks ago, she was still in a funk about this new person, which I'm sure everyone can relate to. How do you not feel a bit slighted and perhaps a bit inferior or a bit insecure, even though they're saying all the right things and everyone's being lovely, wonderful? That still looks a certain way. It still feels a certain way. The behaviour still feels a story. And 3 weeks ago, there was still the tension there. Today, I'm able to go talk to her. I'm doing this with her. We're working on this now together. So this freedom and collegiate dynamic of flow and respect. So she's been able to create a completely new experience of that relationship in a short period of time because she addressed the beliefs that came up for her about how the company viewed her, what it meant about skills. So there's the very graphic. No, it's not just what do I feel about me, it's what do they feel about me? And what does this mean about my skills? And what can I do about it? So she got down to the crux of what she really wanted was, no matter what had happened, she wanted to have a great working relationship with this woman and wanted to continue to have a great time at work. So we then get them working backwards. We went, well, that'll be the fruit. What's going to be the root? And it was then we call it installing beliefs, but it's making certain beliefs that are advantageous true. So certain things we're testing in her nervous system as not true. Like, she respects me. I'm not saying people's names. So she wanted to have the belief, my client wanted to have the belief that her new colleague respected her. And she wasn't going to wait around for this person to earn that or behaviourally demonstrate that. It's actually much faster to just install a belief. So she did that. She made that belief true. Then she was able to feel and behave in a way as if this person did respect her, which of course completely changed her
Amazing.
dynamic.
And
So
you talk about testing, physically testing. Why is that important?
This is my science brain of why would I dedicate all this energy into doing a technique or a process when I don't even know if it's valid? One of my bugbears about professional development and personal development is there's a lot of ritual, which is very beneficial, but there's a lot of ritual, there's a lot of practice. And with our processes, neuro-repatterning processes specifically, so people who know neuro-repatterning, neuro-linguistic programming, know hypnosis, know thought field therapy, applied kinesiology. Thought field therapy was the research body that EFT came from. It's the founding work, Callahan techniques that mainstream EFT came from. I could spend 20 minutes tapping.
Explain tapping. What's tapping? An EFT?
EFT tapping. Yep. So, or let's say it's a hypnotic process or a timeline regression therapy, or I'm doing EMDR or something, which is a psychological technique, or we're doing a CBT approach. What if I just get this idea that I'm going to work, let's say, on self-confidence? Or my therapist or coach recommends, I think this is a confidence issue. Let's work on your confidence. And then a technique specific to self-confidence. Well, what if self-confidence wasn't the issue? I've just spent all of that paid time interacting with my therapist or practitioner on an issue that wasn't that issue. And there was a very hit-and-miss approach that I observed through all those years. I've been in this industry now. This is my 21st year. And even back then I was like, but what if that's actually not the thing? And then I was spending all this time, energy and money on doing these processes, which is why so many people experience hit and miss results, because they're not able to know for sure, is this an issue about when I was 7 and my teacher humiliated me when I was reading aloud in class? Is that the issue that we're working on here? Or is this the issue of when I let that boyfriend go too far with me when I was 16 or something, and then forever had shame or fear, whatever? Is that the actual issue? For so many of us, we've got significant emotional events that when we do personal and professional development, we've got these inadequate ways of being able to appropriately identify and connect with what are the issues? What's the cause of that issue that I'm experiencing right now? What's the root of that fruit? So we typically just go, maybe that's just something to do with when I was molested. Or maybe that's just something to do with when I had that illness. And we just often latch back onto what we have as significant emotional events. That's the typical SEEs. And often it's completely inaccurate. It's just we're practiced at justifying experiences with those events because they're so big and impactful. So I wanted a way of going, I know exactly what I'm working on. I want to know when I've done that work, it worked. So if I'm going to take a belief and it shows up as not true, and then I change the belief, I do the process, I want to know that now it's showing up as true. That was my goal.
We often say to our clients who are really interested in scaling and growing, and they know they've reached sort of like a plateau and it's very stable and they know what they're doing, they're very savvy. But I often say to them, and it's based on Einstein, I stole this from Einstein, which is if the thinking that's got you to where you are now is probably not the thinking that's going to get you beyond that. Would you say that you could almost put the word beliefs, isn't it? The beliefs that got you to where you are now are not the beliefs that's going to get you to the next stage. How important is mindset to people who are scaling? And could it literally stop them in their tracks, or can they physically power on through? What's your experience of that?
I'd love to know what you've got to say about that.
I think what you're saying is 100% true in terms of the beliefs that got you here and not the beliefs that are going to get you to the next stage. And people talk about that in terms of like behavior as well as leadership, the leadership skills and the leadership approach and interpersonal skills that get you to a particular level are not necessarily going to be the ones that are required for the next level. To answer your question about what I think, for me, it's so many entrepreneurs are just incredible problem solvers. Mm-hmm. So they have very good belief systems around solving problems. So that ideology, that set of belief system often makes them incredibly flexible because if they've got that traditional entrepreneurial flexibility with determination, their belief systems around, I just do what it takes and we just figure it out. And we bang away or we grind away until we figure it out. Those are usually why they will go through periods of stagnation, frustration, but then there'll be the breakthrough point. In my experience, it's not always the breakthrough point they wanted though. It becomes like a pivot or something that we fell into or we just were making the best out of the situation that we had. That's my main experience of entrepreneurs when they just combine the normal, I'm just grit and I'll just determine and I'll just figure it all out. People that I've seen who, and that of course I'm speaking like it's assumed those are the people who typically have significant issues in terms of managing to maintain healthy interpersonal relationships with their family, their friends, their health, and usually sacrifice either way. And become so bloody minded on one thing that these other elements might fall away, and then there's burnout, fatigue, resentment, all the bits that follow. So that's sort of that group of people who have those beliefs. And then there's the people who I've worked with or who invite me in to work with them, and their approach is, I know that I've got to unlock parts of myself, invent different aspects of myself to go to this new level. And for those people, it's profound to watch because people who have a vision like that and then get to a place where they can't fulfill on the vision, just even thinking about that neurologically is fascinating of how could someone construct that level of thought about where they want to go. It's phenomenal. Like anyone can say they want to make $50 million. That's not particularly very visionary. But someone having a vision of what they're going to do in a marketplace or how many people they're going to affect with a particular solution. Those people who are very visionary and are so clear on the vision but are unwilling to compromise on being a whole human being, they're the people with their psychology work who do have an incredibly high value on investing in their psychology, investing on themselves, and to what you said about how important is mindset. For them, they act like everything is mindset. And they're the people who then invest in their teams that way. They focus incredibly on their culture being one of
See, I wonder, we've got a couple of people, the guests even, that it looks like they've abandoned a business. They've gone, I just can't take it any further. That's it. Whatever, had an impediment. And they've just left it. And to the point that almost you can sense the loss in them, the grief. Would you say that's that scenario that you're talking about, which is where they've just gone, can't tough your way through this one, and beliefs would be the way to go?
Yeah, if there wasn't an obvious pivot or a lifeline or some change in market circumstances that happened at the right time, it's often in the graveyard of businesses that they weren't able to transform. And this is not me in denial at all about sometimes market circumstances just change. That we don't do business the way we did even 5 years ago. I've been through 4 different versions of my industry just in 21 years. We all used to be in person, face to face. We used to order things over the internet from America and it would arrive in the mail as CDs and things like that, which do not operate like that at all. So I'm not a Luddite in terms of going, everything should always be able to work and the answer is always mindset. No, there are circumstances, there's reality. We live in a complex world with complex needs with one another. And my focus to people is always, do you feel like you have choices here? When someone's in that grief and that loss, or in the world of there's no other way I know to do this, I'm like, well, that's not someone experiencing having choices.
If a businesswoman who is scaling a business and she's at that plateau, and maybe she has not come across mindset work before, like she's starting to get in the world of it, but kind of has always thought, oh, it's a bit woo-woo. She's very financial driven, business driven, blueprint driven. What would you put in front of her? Like, what would you communicate to her to kind of ignite her curiosity around the mindset process?
It's such an epic question. The first thing I would be doing, with her permission, because if she's so 3D, physical environment, action, reaction focused, the first thing is reflecting on what have you already done that's made you so effective? Because in that reflection, she boils it down to is something that's making her different to other people who haven't been able to produce the results that she's produced. And that's not where she was born and how big her boobs are. And if she's got a certain amount of money in her bank account, she'll realize it's a combination of how she's approached the world and her ability to interact with people around her and the desire for people to help her. And sometimes some of those things are wonderful and fortuitous and supportive, and sometimes they're not.
Okay.
So that reflection is what I would first start with, which is taking everything that she's got, which is her special source. That's what makes her so effective. When people come to acknowledging themselves and the source of their own results, that's one of my happiest moments as someone who facilitates leaders, because we're already all doing so many things right, but spending a lot of time pulling ourselves apart for the things we're not doing right. So that would be first. And that would do 2 things. That would give her that reflection and realize, oh, actually, this is a unique psychology thing to me and it's not everybody else. The other is it would hopefully show to her with that patience of listening and facilitation just how much I deeply respect her.
As a facilitator of change and breakthroughs for women, like you can see everything for them. And I have to literally rein myself back, like, it's not your life, stop. But it's like one of the biggest frustrations, but also like the why we do the work, right?
Can I just say, I feel like that's like how exercise is. We're just like,
it's exactly that.
Restrained. I'm always like, oh, really. And that's lifting weights. I'm like, it takes a lot of effort.
Totally. And I'm thinking about like some of the faces and the feelings I'm going through as you're speaking. I'm just like, when you said snaky and shaky earlier, I'm like, I feel like I'm having I've got a whole new range of things to feel in my body from this call. I know that you were so shaky and I was like snaky. I'm like, okay, that's the whole thing. Okay, I remember you once saying, when there's an absence of leadership in a team, that's where resentment can build. And I felt it again in my body. Oh, it's everywhere. And our women typically are experiencing that. And most weeks we hear, I'm soft, nurturing, I'm fostering the people culture that I really wanted, that I never had in my organizations. And then, typically a team of 10 or 15. And then they're like, but my team don't really like it then when I'm snappy and sharp and direct, because we've got to get shit done, right? And I go back to the anchor of that thing that you said. And, I always seek to understand. But tell us what you know about that. When there is an absence of leadership in the context of women having their own feminine leadership style and they want to nurture, it's in our makeup. What do you see? What goes on? And what can you tell our founders about that process? What do they need to know?
Yeah, I see three main expressions of female leadership. And one is where it's women replicating the male leadership they've seen. Everyone knows about that. There's been enough fuss on that. And that's often taking an authoritative position. And I don't have any issues with people being authoritative. I don't have any issues with women or men being in charge. It's, have we just all agreed that you're the one in charge and those decisions are on you? Cool, great, let's go. So the second type I see for women is where they are attempting to get their social power in your workplace or in their company as a leader by having everybody like them and basing it on personal rapport and a personal value share. So that's leveraging off women's power in terms of social relatedness and going, I'm kind of doing this extension of we're all kind of friendly and friendish. And so one of the biggest things I have to work with those leaders on is the belief systems around being friendly but not friends. Because the agreements that are at play here in a workplace, and we are all hopefully consciously choosing to go into a particular agreement with one another, one reflected by, a contract, and then the other being reflected by the interpersonal dynamics that we have agreed to use as the basis of a relationship. So because women have such an epic strength of resource sharing, building community based on friendship, kinship, a lot of female leaders will be being friends, like an advanced person. And it's so great because it's like working with my friends. Okay. So we work a lot on the beliefs about being friendly but not friends. And just that little step back or step to the side or whatever type of slight shift in perception that is for a leader, which is I can still be friendly, we can still laugh, we can still talk about our weekends, we can have these things, we can share these things, we can be genuinely connected and related to one another. But the basis of our agreement is not friendship. It's either partnership or it's leadership or it's team and leader or it's peers or it's or it's collaborators. It's a different agreement. And then the third type is people who've got that clear, either through they've had really great role models and mentors, self-educated. Sometimes there's just this magical unicorn of people who show up and they get all of that. Most common too are the women trying to be friends. And then there's these unicorns who are like, oh no, I'm really clear about what we're doing here. And that all the relationships and they all deserve and require unique agreements that we're aware of, we're deliberately choosing, we're all consenting to participate that way with one another. So with the women who are just modelling male leadership styles, which to be honest, even the men who are modelling those leadership styles, they're often dictatorial. They're based on abuse and power or assumed power and authority, not a healthy assertion or a healthy authoritative dynamic. So resentment there is the lack of leadership is that you are not leading me based on an agreed outcome. It's you are just writing me and telling me what to do and assuming my compliance. In the second category, where we're trying to be friends with each other, the resentment builds based on friendship is a goodwill exchange and an unconditional exchange. That's why relationships are like the safe haven for so many women throughout their lives, regardless of if you're heteronormative and you've got men on the scene. The women's relationships are the deepest, most intimate ones most women report having in their lives. It's because there's a level of unconditionality to it.
Yeah.
You can't be unconditional in your business. That's not how that works. So the resentment comes from, I'm going to treat you like my friend as the boss. And as the boss, I want all the benefits of your friendship. But then I'm not willing to be unconditional with you. So how can I reap all the benefits of the friendship but not pay the price?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where the resentment I see shows up in the friendship dynamic.
Yeah. And thank you for the first part of the answer, but then the second, like, that was great. And the importance of that is at all of these different stages that I personally have been through, and now I'm walking alongside other women, they may get to say, typically that stage where they really have to be kind of replaced as the CEO, they have to, like, and the team that they've built and that culture has gotten to one level, and then things have to change, and it's very difficult for them.
Yeah. When how many people feel like they work with their best friend, and then that boss who was their best friend, or their key person who was their best friend, now has to function differently because different stages require different agreements in any relationship, particularly with work.
Absolutely. And the reason I care about it is because, well, I care about sustainability. Brilliant women get into a certain point and then, not being able to scale past that. And I'm very committed and interested in women growing bigger organizations and more impact and all of those things. So it's like making visible and normalizing again. These are the stages. We don't have to keep quiet about them. We can talk about them. They're deeply interesting and fascinating. And actually they bring great relief. If I was listening to this, I can think of several jobs, and actually when I've run my own businesses, to be able to have a transparency with the team. Like I've run an all women business, and I was a brilliant sales director, but I was also mothering and nurturing in places that I shouldn't have been, and I didn't know. And I was very burnt out, and I didn't know. And it was, I remember literally going, you are the block here, you are the block here, you are the block here. But I didn't know what to do about it. I just kept powering through. But then, resentment both sides. Thankfully, I have very good restorative relationship skills. So I can, bring things back together and clean things up. But like, there's a toll there, and there's a huge dent on impact. And, let's be fair, we see it everywhere. So it's just really bringing those topics up. They're not murky and dirty. They're like, this is real, just interpersonal dynamics. Like, and let's educate ourselves about them.
This is it. I love that. If the world was like this and this was a normal conversation, I wouldn't have experiences like two just very recent examples. One being the women who modeled their leadership off friendship. Then whenever anyone struggles in their teams, they default to what you talked about, which is maternal strategies. So to be friends until you need help. And now I'm no longer a friend, I'm now mothering you with using parenting strategies. The staff member resents them subconsciously because the staff member knows they're being infantilized, being disempowered, and that we're not relating to them as a powerful person who can solve their own problems. They view it as you're controlling me, you're dominating me. And even if it's not conscious, they feel that. And then, of course, the person acting as the parent then resents the staff member because they're like, I have to often parent outside of work, and then I come to work and I'm parenting as well. So it's part of the beginning of the swirl down of so much toxicity. And another example, an organisation where the owner, she's had these two amazing salespeople, one for 7 years, one for 10 years, and her business cannot shift part of a particular multi-7-figure number, and it's because that 10-year salesperson will not let any other new salespeople in. New salespeople come in, it disrupts the dynamic of her and the owner being best friends. Finds a way to get
that's like,
and now the owner hates her.
Of all the studies, and you said about 21 years in the industry. Mine, I've been in business really since my early teens, and I'm like, I've just watched this dynamic play over and over, and genuinely at 47 and have amazing women around me, it's only now I can be sat back and be like, okay, this is actually going on. Like, these are the pieces we need to figure out before we're figuring out strategy and route to market, because this stuff is going to literally control the whole show.
Yeah, imagine if that manager was able to say to that staff member, oh my gosh, I've just defaulted into parenting you because I see that you're having these challenges. I'm going to stop doing that. That's completely inappropriate. What are the other resources you need from me? Or that owner going, oh, I've fallen into that,
Yeah.
saying to a staff member, I've fallen into that dynamic with you where I'm treating this like we're friends all the time and it's limiting the growth. Let's fix that. I respect you, you respect me, we're big girls.
Yeah, thank goodness it's happening all around me now. And also the big thing I just thought about from that is when that happens, and in most of the spaces I'm in, it does, it ripples out into people's families. So if you haven't witnessed that level of freedom in relationships and transparency before, and you start being a part of it, it's atmospheric for you. And then you start doing it with, your husband or your kids or whatever. And that is really what I'm interested in. It's like, again, that business pathway as just total freedom and a lot of work for a woman to really like get to grips with who she is. But then wow, when she gets it, like she can just be such a force for good and an amplification of all these brilliant strategies that free us up as humans. Like we're just more power, more love, more color, more everything.
I just love this. What I'm hearing is that we spend a lot of time talking about roles and responsibilities in organizations, don't we? You're going to do this. This is your role. This is your title. This is this. Wouldn't it be amazing if we added this other element? I call them guardrails.
This is how I relate to
Yeah.
you. Yeah, like this is how I'm going to
Yeah.
relate to you. That's one of the most powerful guardrails or agreements is I need to take this position in all my interactions with you. Like even if in marriages, so many of my founders are husband and wife teams or people who have the spouse, but the spouse isn't involved in the business because it's not a good dynamic for that to be that way. It's better for them to be separate to the business. And the beginning step I take in all people who are dissatisfied in their partnership dynamics is, well, what are your agreements? And the number one thing, fights, arguments, disagreements, silences, is they are not relating to each other in the way we want. Like if I was in a relationship with you, Aliya, it would be, I promise that I'm always going to relate to you as you're on my side, we're together, we can figure anything out, and you're the person I love and respect most in the world. And anything I say is got to come through that filter, and I want you to hear me that way.
I know that there's lots of women out there who'll be listening to this who are like, that's fascinating. How do I bring that into my organization? How do they get in touch with you, Emily? Where do they find you?
Oh, thank you. I'm on all the socials at Emily the Diamond, which is Diamond is my real name. I just have to say this.
And you are a diamond.
Is not master of a name. Yeah, thank you. Yes. And I'm not related to Neil Diamond, but my sister married a man called Neil, which is endless shits and giggles in our family. So Emily the Diamond is the handle everywhere, Substack in particular.
I've got a couple of fun questions for you here. They're slightly mischievous in nature. What's one rule of business you have joyfully broken and you would break again?
Always pay yourself on time.
On time. If your business disappeared tomorrow, instant belief change, what would you build next?
Terrible default answer is rebuild it. That's what my subconscious threw up instantly. I've got a interest because of the consulting work that I do in the transition to non-fossil fuel infrastructure around the world. So potentially something in that commercial distribution.
If you could write a Post-it note to every woman trying to scale her business, what would you say?
What are today's 7 high priority actions?
Love it. I love it.
They're so cool, those questions.
Thank you.
Love it. I thought when you meant mischievous, you were going to be like, what's your favourite brand of vibrator?
Yeah, that's why we get Mac to sponsor us. Bobby Brown.
Scenario for you. You're working with us, the three of us, we're sat around a table and we've got a week together to develop a new curriculum for women scaling. They're stable, they have a really solid minimum viable product, they have a good client base, and they're set, they're exploring for themselves what they need to grow. First to that 7-figure milestone, which, we all know is very common, and beyond. And we're in charge, us three, of developing a new curriculum, a 3-year curriculum for women, for these business women. What do you say the core ingredients? Like, what's the role that you'll play in shaping it as well? Like, and what's the core ingredients, like, of that curriculum?
my brain goes to the mechanical ops items, sales, marketing. Yeah, like you said, we've got proof of concept. So sales, marketing, operations, obviously all the finance assumed.
Yeah.
So I would be looking at the plan for the structure of how each of those critical components of the business is going to evolve through the stages, and what are the plan Bs and Cs for those departments.
Yeah.
Then in terms of the organisational development and the human resources, the visionary leader work, it would be training needs analysis across all your key people. And so you're missing the people. So you do a training needs analysis, and that says we need people who can do these things to match those operational outcomes. Are the people in here ready to do that? Do they want to learn that? Or do we require different humans to do those things? So I'd probably use a training needs analysis, a large framework for that. I do a lot of training. That's how you fit on and deliver. When I started out, coaching was not a recognised industry, and so all coaching was essentially Trojan horsed into organisations as the guys are training. It was all disguised.
Yeah.
It's easy for companies to justify training investment, and we've got really good stats now on parent training and coaching. For the visionary leader, the curriculum, they have their own training needs analysis, and then I'd be looking at connecting them in with organisations with access to people who have produced the same results they want. So one of my components for all my clients is, what's your team, what's your environment, how's your health, and then it's going to be mentors and who's your environment that's affecting you and exposing big opportunities and innovation. And there's so much to be said for that transference of approaches and ideas and strategies. And in technology, saying contrast of industries over into industries that haven't developed it, I think we're really at one of those times in human evolution where not a lot of people are having new ideas. Everyone, even 20 years ago, it was the businesses that were taking off with a combination of two good ideas. And now what I see is the businesses that are doing really well are the combination of three really good ideas. Where it's going, how do we overlay these as our niches develop and markets globalized and people can go exactly for what they want. There's no compromising as a consumer. You don't just get what you get because it's all that's available.
Yeah.
You can have exactly what you want. So this overlay of specificity of, it's actually 3 or 4 solutions combined together.
Yes.
I feel like that's the stage of industry that we're in.
Okay.
So having our leader connected then to people from a wide variety of industries so they can be layering in those alternative solutions and
love that.
Influence.
Love the way your mind works there. And then how critical is instant belief change to that visionary founder and the team who are open to it, would you say?
It's all about speed. So with personal and professional development, I am under no illusion that I'm not a brain surgeon and that I'm not a emergency, doctor not saving people's lives. That's not what's happening here, people. And so I would say it's so important because being able to, face a problem and not have to pick up the phone, wait for an appointment, go and see a practitioner, therapist, a coach or trusted listener, and being able to just go for a walk and sort it out yourself and go back in the room, be able to yourself for 5 minutes, be able to I change beliefs while I'm driving the car at traffic lights.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not about can you do it without it. It's not about is it the thing that makes the difference. It's the thing that just melts away the resistance at any given moment. And there's another aspect as well, which is as soon as people start doing any self-reflection, self-reflection for all our female leaders who are listening, all the high-functioning, high-impact human beings I've worked with in all these years, the unifying cognitive skill they have is reflection, and they either were born with it, which some people have as what we call a meta program, an executive function in the frontal lobe. Some people are born with really good reflection skills. Majority of us are not, which is why the majority of the world's just doing whatever and letting other people's visions determine the outcome of their life. And then other people learn reflection either through a critical mentor, or they go through some sort of therapy, or they have a person they're in a relationship with who helps them do reflection.
Yeah.
That skill of reflection, which I see as a gateway into that, because you're having to reflect and know, well, what must I believe? And you're testing those beliefs, you're looking at your behavior, and you're analyzing yourself through that second position where you're just slightly separating yourself. So anything that increases people's reflection, yes, please. Then anything that downregulates the nervous system, integrates them and gives them parasympathetic shift, that means they're not in a reaction all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, please. And just for me, wonderful, I've got this mechanism that does it in a couple of minutes for people, as well as it gives them that filter of self-observation all the time. So anything that's going to give you those things,
Yeah.
like you said, Aliya, 20 minutes is great. 2 hours is great. If someone does 2 hours in therapy, I still go to therapy. I still have coaching. I still do all those things.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to do the quick stuff on myself.
Thank you. Yeah, that was such a holistic answer. And it is just so important to see all the components come together. Like it is a whole, like a visionary founder with her concept, her like what she's selling is one thing. But I see then the world and how she operates and what she creates as that ecosystem. Like it just, yeah, that's what's needed. And you painted that picture so well. Thank you, Emily. Yeah.
You're welcome. I used to be way more clinical and technical, and I had an acronym for it, and it was SPECS, like specifications. And it was, what are the systems and the structure? T for team, E for the environment, as in who are the people influencing the person. And it was, C was for coach with mindset.
Yeah, love it, love it.
Thank you. And it's just reframed my whole day. I'm going to be looking through, where am I stepping, what space am I stepping into in terms of belief today and in this situation? And what am I bringing to the conversation that's hidden from my view in terms of belief? It's certainly prompted that thought in me just to really reflect on that and look into it an awful lot more and be more aware of. Sometimes the subconscious mind is more in control than I actually realize. I think I'm a very logical person. And what I love about my partnership with Kelly is she's very intuitive and physical in her approach to life. Mine's very thoughtful. I sit back, I step back, and I think that's why we make a great partnership. But yeah, it's definitely given me food for thought, and I can definitely see a way for us to support our female founders in having them be aware of something that maybe they've hitherto not been aware of, or even given some thought to, the importance of mindset as an underpinning for a business.
Yeah.
And like you say, you bring your beliefs to your business, and the way we say it is, your business is you. It's got every part of you, good and bad. Let's assemble the best bits for the next stage.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that reflection too. That was really helpful. And the thing you said about guardrails, that excited me a lot. So thank you for saying that. That way I know that's going to unlock something for a lot of people.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. It was,
magical.